Thank you everybody for joining us this morning. Our last topic for our yoga moving into happiness is trying out. So this is about sort of being curious and creative, and that helps us to build that sense of purpose. It helps keep our brains in shape, and helps us find some fulfillment in life. So it's about stepping out of your comfort zone, but just gently taking a small step out. And this could be applied to many different areas of your life. And it could just be as simple as getting out of a familiar routine. So walking a different route somewhere, or trying a different food, trying a different meal, or perhaps signing up to a recovery college course where you thought, oh, that's not for me. But just doing it anyway and being curious about what you find out. So yeah, trying new things is actually a positive experience for us and can add to our happiness and our fulfillment in life. Yeah, if we stick to doing things the same way, we will get the same result. So if we want things to change, we have to be willing to step out of that comfort zone. So I will pass over to Rosalind, who will start us off with our meditation to begin with. And then we've got a little journal question if anyone's using that journal practice. And then I'll move into the movement practice. So over to you, Rosalind.
Thanks, Laura. Okay. So morning, everybody. If you need to grab your journals or any comfort blankets or anything before we get started, just grab what you need, and I'll be asking you a little journal question at the end. But otherwise, just finding a place to get yourself comfy, whether that's seated or lying down. So once you feel settled, you might want to close your eyes or lower your gaze. And let's just take 3 deep breaths together to start. So breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just 3 nice, long, steady breaths. And then just let your breath settle into a natural rhythm. Just let the breath breathe itself. And then breath is where we're going to bring our attention first. So just finding a place to locate your breath. So maybe you want to come to the tip of your nose to start. Just see if you can notice where the breath is entering the body. Maybe you can notice your left nostril. Notice your right nostril. See if you can notice maybe the temperature of the breath as it's coming in. Can you notice any difference in temperature as it's entering the body? And then just following the breath through the nose, right to the back of the palate. And as it enters the body, right down into the chest, maybe even into the belly. Just see if you can track the breath, just track its journey. In and out. You might want to use your hands to help with that tracking. You might want to just have a hand on your chest or your abdomen. Just see if you can detect any rise and fall with each breath. It could be really subtle, really soft, or it could be a little bit laboured this morning. If your mind starts to wander away from the breath, just gently guiding your attention back to your breath. And we're just tracking, we're just doing a little baseline check-in. How are things today? How's the breath today? There's no good or bad, no right or wrong. Just what's happening right now. And then let your focus soften. Just let the breath go. And let's make a little transition. Let's shift our attention to thoughts. And just see if you can notice any thoughts arising without trying to change them or judge them. And I want to imagine your thoughts as clouds passing through the sky of your mind. And just see if you can acknowledge each thought and let it drift away. And then returning your focus to your breath if you get caught up in the stories of the mind. And, you can use there's all sorts of techniques we can use, but I like to label my thoughts. I like to go, oh, thinking, or I might go, oh, shopping list, or I might go, thank you, yes, thank you, whatever's coming up, because the mind generates thoughts 24/7, doesn't it? And they're not a problem in themselves. It's just we're saying, actually, we're just going to take a little backward step and observe them for a moment, rather than going, okay, I need to go and write the shopping list. I'm just going to notice that that's showing up. Right. Say morning to your thoughts. Thank you. I'm just resting back here for a moment. And we're going to let that focus go. Just let the thought stream do its thing. And we're going to shift our attention into feelings. So bringing your awareness to feelings, emotions, what's present for you right here, right now. You don't have to generate any feelings or emotions, you're just noticing what's here. Might be a feeling of calm, might be not much going on, might be a sense of anxiety or overwhelm or sadness or whatever's here. You're not making any judgments. We're just noticing, we're just observing, we're just taking that little step back and we're just observing feelings coming and going just as they are. There might be feelings of, I'm starting to feel a bit irritated with all this instruction or whatever's here, just letting it be here. Oh yes, noticing. And then we can let the feeling stream go. And we're just going to make a gentle shift into focus on the body. So just bring your awareness down to the tips of your toes to start. Just allowing your awareness to sense into what's here in the toes, and then just right through into the feet. I'm just going to gently scan right up through the body, so coming through the feet, into the ankles, and scanning up through the lower legs, onto your knees, through your thighs. And just see if you can bring your awareness inside the body, into that inner experiencing, into the experience of the inner body. And gently scanning higher up into the pelvis, into the whole of the pelvis, pelvic floor, the sacrum, the abdomen, and coming up through the torso, through the spine, through the mid-body, into the chest, inside the rib cage, all your organs that are in here being protected. And scanning right up to your shoulders, inside your shoulders, front of your chest, back of your chest, the whole of your shoulder blades. And let's come down through the upper arms, into the elbow joints, through the forearms, into the wrists, hands, fingers. Just noticing what sensations are you noticing in the body this morning. Is there any tension, discomfort, any warmth? Maybe there's some tingling. If you're finding areas of discomfort, you can breathe into them. Imagine releasing the tension with each exhale. And back up through the arms and shoulders, up into the neck, front of the neck, back of the neck, throat. And scanning right up through the head, through your jawbone, back of your neck, up into your skull. That lovely bony structure of your skull, your facial bones, all of the inside, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your brain. And let's come right up to the crown of the head. Lovely space. You can just maybe sensing into that space just above the top of your head. And then just scanning gently back down from the crown. Just take yourself right back down through to the tips of your toes, tips of your fingers. Just taking a moment to just hold the whole of the living body in your awareness. And then we're going to very slowly, gently start to come back into the room. So you might want to have a little wriggle, open your eyes, just locate yourself in your space, just have a little scan around the room. And an invitation to just have a little question to drop in today. What small thing could I try today? You might want to make some notes in your journal. You might want to stay with that question, just let it drop in and percolate. You don't have to find answers, just let the question live in you. What small thing could I try today? We'll just take 2 minutes with that, and then I'm going to hand you back to Laura when we call you back in 2 minutes. Let's start to bring that to a close if you're journaling or if you're resting. And just gradually returning to the screens when you feel ready. I'm going to hand back over to Laura to continue with the yoga.
Thank you, Rosalind. It was a lovely start. And it actually, it managed to quieten my brain. So I did remember a few things. I did have to write a few things down. I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that as well. But I also thought of something that I could try today. So I'm doing a coaching apprenticeship, and I'm really good at buying the books to read about it, but not so great at actually reading them. So I've decided that if I could just read if I set myself a target of just reading 1 page a day, rather than thinking, oh, I've got to set aside a couple of hours to sit and read a whole chapter. If I just said 1 page a day, I could do that. I'd probably end up reading more pages, wouldn't I? But 1 page a day would be a realistic target. So that's what I shall start today. We're going to try out a few new things in our movements, but obviously we're not going to change it all, because that wouldn't be stepping out of our comfort zone, you know, taking us a small step out. That would be a huge step. So we'll be adding in a few little bits, but following the same sort of theme that we've been doing and the same structure that we've been doing. So I'll move back to my mat. I don't know if I have put my camera at the right angle. That's good. I'm going to come to the floor, but we could stay seated on the chair or whatever's comfortable. Can be useful to have a cushion if you're on the floor, just to lift the hips a little bit. When we lift the hips, it tilts our pelvis forwards, which helps us to sit a little bit taller through the spine. That can be useful. And we'll start as we usually do. I normally start with the shoulders. Just starting with some shoulder rolls, feeling into how the shoulders feel this morning. One way. Right shoulder is still crunching. The other way. Maybe I should try to do my shoulder exercises every day as well. I've maybe only been averaging twice a week. Every day would definitely be better. And let's draw those shoulders up to the ears and then drop them down. We could use the breath with that as well. We could breathe in, lifting the shoulders up and then dropping them down. And you could even add a sigh, pulling them up to the ears and then letting go. And then let's move into the head. Let's just take some little circles with the head. So circling one direction. Going too big, being mindful of any issues that we might have in the neck. One direction. And then the opposite direction. And then let's drop the ear to the shoulder, reminding ourselves to keep those shoulders back and down, sliding the shoulders back and down. Coming back up to center and then to the opposite side. And back up to center. Let's go back the other way again, maybe lean into the hand. And we could take the arm overhead, get a bit more of a stretch into the side body as well. We could keep the hand on the hip if that feels better for us. And then let's circle that arm while we're there in that side bend. So yeah, making sure we've gone both ways. And then we could go forwards and back with this as well. So we could lean across forwards, make it more into a twist, and then take it backwards. So you're twisting that torso as well. Side bend. Doing one more, and then coming back to center. Just notice how that has landed in the body. Maybe take any little wriggles to work out any niggles we might have. And then let's go to the opposite side. So taking that hand maybe to the floor or to the chair. And then we could take that arm overhead, reminding ourselves it's okay to keep it onto the hip. And we could take some arm circles here, but we could just do the shoulder as well. We could roll the shoulder instead, doing what is within our movement this morning, trying out at our pace. Trying out will look different for everybody. Making Making sure we've gone in both directions, and then let's take that movement across, taking a bit of a twist and then opening up, looking more to the ceiling. We look up, forwards and back. So one more. And bringing that back to center again. And to bring that body back into balance, noticing how that feels. And then let's take some circles for the hips. We're getting more into the pelvis and into the hips. Maybe feel nice for the lower back. Finding yourself that you can have the legs in any way that feels comfortable for you. Direction and then direction. Circling hips, weren't we? So back to center then. And let's just let's go forwards and back. We're going to turn it into a seated cat, but let's just make it small to begin with. Can we just really tilt on the pelvis? So we're taking I suppose the belly forwards as we tilt the pelvis backwards, the bum sort of coming up a bit, and then tilting the pelvis forwards, the belly comes in, we're rounding the spine. So it's just a smaller movement, forwards and back on the spine. And then coming back to center. So if we're on the floor, let's take the legs out in front of us with the feet flat on the floor. And then we can do the same movement with the upper body on the chair. So as we come forward, we're bringing the belly to the thighs and we're rounding, taking that beach ball. If we're on the chair, we might not get our belly to the thighs, but we're rounding forwards like we're hugging a big beach ball or we're hugging a tree, and that really arches the spine, got that curve, that C curve in the spine. And then we open up into those cactus arms, so we don't to use a little bit of core support here as we take the shoulders back. Just remembering that we don't want to drop out of the lower back. We want to be opening the shoulders. So we're coming forwards, hugging that beach ball, and then coming up into that cactus position, reminding ourselves that we've got issues with the shoulders. That cactus might be a struggle, so maybe we bring the arms back down to the hips, just noticing what feels right for you this morning. And then let's round again. And back up, that cactus position. And then just taking a moment, putting the hands behind you. So just take a little break for a second, and then just windscreen wipering the legs from one side to the other. And then coming back up. Let's just take a little butterfly. So feet together. You could try this on the chair as well. Feet together, taking the knees out to the side. You can give them a little bit of a bounce as well. If you feel okay in this position, you could even try a little forward fold. So I would advise keeping the shoulders back and down and trying to fold from the hip. So the chest is up. You get a stretch into the lower back. You could even press onto those thighs. Notice how that feels. So stretch into the outer hip. And back up again. And then let's bring the feet flat to the floor again. So this time, let's take the hands underneath the thighs. And we're going to try a little bit of the full expression would be boat pose. But we're just going to try a little lift and lower with the legs. So lifting one leg and then lifting the opposite leg. Still trying to, if you're on the floor, connecting that belly to the thigh so you're sat up tall through the spine, lifting and lowering one leg. On the chair, I would lift like this, so keeping the knee bent and lifting and lowering here, but again, trying to really keep that center of the body in balance, in alignment, and pulling in the core, so you're really using your strength to lift and lower in the legs. So be mindful that we're not tipping like this, trying to not use, we are using the joints, but we're trying to build in a bit of strength with it as well. So we're trying to build in muscle support with that lift, lower. Okay, maybe take one more, and then it could just, if you're on the floor, maybe come back into that butterfly, and you could round forwards this time. If you're on the chair, probably just keep your feet flat on the floor and resting the elbows on the thighs, head into hands, and just resting here for a moment. And then slowly coming back up. And we're going to try that again. Just thinking about the chair. I think on the chair you will probably be best sticking with one leg lifting and lowering. I think, yeah, two is quite tricky on the chair. Unless you feel really confident, then you could maybe use the back of the chair for a bit of support, but I probably would say stick to one leg and then the other. But on the floor, so we can connect the belly to the thighs, can we lift both legs together? So this is our trying out something new. Can you find your balance point, lifting both legs? You might find it easier to be off the cushion rather than on it. But what we want to, if I go sideways, what we want to try and avoid is this leaning the top half of the body back to find that balance. We want to still keep that connection with the thighs and be able to lift here. So we're still keeping that length in the spine as we lift rather than it being here. So if that feels a little bit too tricky, we could go back to just lifting and lowering one leg, or we could just come on to the tiptoes and try and find that balance point. See what feels right for you. Remember to breathe when you're doing it. When we get to the trickier things, we often hold the breath, which is not always that helpful. And then you could come into that forward fold again. So we're just rounding this time. The shoulders can come forwards. A bit of a counter pose. Do that boat pose. Taking a breath here. And then slowly come back up. So if you are on the floor, let's transition to coming onto all fours, and we'll do a little bit of cat movement. So we can do the same on the chair as we did before, with the rounding of the back, with the hugging the tree, and then coming up into cactus arms. But if we're on the floor, let's find that all fours position. With the arms under the shoulders, the wrists under the shoulders, remembering to spread those fingers wide. And then let's take that cat movement by dropping the belly, lifting the tail, lifting the head into that happy cat. And then trying to get the movement to come from the pelvis first, tucking the tail under, dropping the chin to the chest, pushing through the arms as you rainbow the back into that angry cat. Forwards, happy cat. And up into angry cat. Maybe just doing that one more time. Remember, if we're at the chair, we're hugging that beach ball forward, we round the spine, and then we're stretching up into that cactus position. Or we could have the hands on the hips, elbows forward as we come forward, and elbows back as we go. Whichever feels right for you. We take one more, and then coming up to, if you can sit on your knees, then perhaps just sitting on your knees for a moment. We won't be here too long, so we're going to add in a little bit of a different breath with that cat movement. So we're going to add in a lion's breath. So this is us trying something new today. So this is a breath that it can be used to help you to let go. So perhaps if something's holding you back, like maybe fear, or perhaps a belief that you can't do things differently, and you're needing a little bit of confidence, then this is a really good breath for letting go. And what we do is we're trying to breathe like we have been doing throughout all the week, breathing down into the belly as we take a big breath in through the nose. But then we breathe out through the mouth with the tongue out like this. If you can see me from back there, I'll come and do it forwards as well. So you're breathing into the belly, through the nose, and then out through the mouth like this. That's our lion's breath. So just have a go at that first. Maybe take a couple of those, breathing in through the nose and then out through the mouth. Imagine you're letting go of everything that's holding you back. And then we'll come back down into that all fours. And we do it, it's the opposite way to how we would normally breathe. But what we're going to do is we'll breathe in as we lift into angry cat. And then we'll breathe out with that lion's breath as we come into happy cat. We can take 3 of those. So breathing in into angry cat. And then out. Taking 3 of those at your pace. On the chair, you'd be breathing in as you come forwards. And then taking that lion's breath as you come up into cactus. And let's just take a resting pose for a moment and see how that's landed. So maybe if you're on the floor, you come back into your child's pose, and on the chair, you're resting the head into the hands. Seeing how that has landed. And then on the next in breath, slowly coming back up into that all fours if you're on all fours. So we're going to practice that downward dog again. I'll demonstrate the different ways that we can do it. So if you're on the floor, remember you're going to take your hands a little bit wider than they were for cat. And you're going to really press the fingers down into the floor. But do be mindful if you're on carpet, because it can be a little bit slippy. We've got the toes tucking under, and we're working on the knees bent to begin with, because we're trying to, again, connect the belly with the thighs. So we're really stretching the arms and stretching through the back. We don't have to have the legs straight. We could keep the legs bent. The chair's not in a very good position for this. So noticing how that feels. Maybe you come up and down a few times. We're going to transition to standing. So eventually you could walk your hands back to the feet. You could maybe dangle in that forward fold, and make sure you come up to standing really, really slow. So just a reminder of that downward dog for the chair. So we can be seated. We can take the weight forwards, try and sort of get a 45-degree angle on the back, and stretching the hands. So we've got the head between the arms, and we're stretching forwards. Remember I said we could do this at a wall. I'm a bit away from my wall. Or we could practice at the seat of the chair, walking the feet back. Again, trying to put the weight into the feet, really stretching through the arms. So we're really lengthening through the back here. So there's 3 different ways that we could have a go at downward dog. And if you haven't already done so, let's move into a forward fold and then really roll ourselves up to standing. Remember, we could still be at the chair, or maybe you want to try a little section of today stood up as well. If you haven't done that in previous weeks, let's all come up to standing. Notice there's still a few people coming up, so we'll just give them a moment. Yeah, and you get there, just take a moment to let everything settle. Feel a little bit lightheaded as we've changed blood pressure in the body from being on the floor to being stood up. And then let's take the legs a little bit wider and just do a few hip circles here as well. Stood up doing hip circles. Going in one direction and then the opposite direction. And then we have done this in previous weeks. Can we make that figure of 8? So can we take that figure of 8 with the hip? Might be a little bit trickier if we sat down, but shift the weight from one to the other. And then can we reverse that figure of 8? This is a bit of an example of how it feels to try out new things. This feels a little bit sticky, doesn't it? It feels a little bit not easy. This is where we have to try and build a habit, don't we, of trying out new things so they become well, hopefully a healthy habit that we do. Can try out new things. And then just give the legs a little shake, the hips a little bit of a wiggle. Give the arms a little bit of a shake, shake out the hands, the shoulders a shrug. Yeah, maybe you need to roll them again. And I think we'll try this first before we go into the swinging of the arm. So we tried, didn't we, the swinging one arm forwards, one arm back. Let's start with the shoulders to begin with. Can we take one shoulder forwards, one shoulder back? I think it helps if you twist your body. It's like you're doing a little twist. You've got the hang of it. Maybe you can reverse it. So the other one going, oh, that's more tricky for me. I can do that way. Ooh. Try again. Right, got it. I've got it. One's going forwards, one's going back. And then have a little shake out. And then let's bring the arms up. Let's do both forwards to begin with. So both swinging forwards. In that front crawl. Notice, yeah, how forwards feels. And then let's go backwards. So we could be making those circles smaller. We could be here if it feels too much in the shoulders. So just going at wherever feels right. Give the shoulders a little bit of a jiggle out. And then let's challenge ourselves to doing something new, something different. I always think it's easy to start with the arms overhead. And can we take one arm forwards, one arm back? So how I do it is I twist myself. So then it's like I'm opening a big circle at my side. And then I come back up. So open the circle. One forwards, one back. Trying out new things involves a little bit more concentration, doesn't it? And it gets us into that mindful place. Ooh, and shake out the arms. And let's go the opposite way if you've got the hang of it, or just try it. I could try it the opposite way. It's a really good one to practice, getting that coordination going and getting the left and right brains working. Shake out the arm. And I will just come a bit closer, because if that feels a bit too much for your shoulders and that's not for you, another good one that you can have a go at is with the hands. So having one thumb out on one hand and one little finger. Got one thumb out on one hand, one little finger. So the challenge is, can you swap? So you've got one little finger out. On the other hand, you're swapping thumb for little finger. Another good one to practice. If the swinging the arms in the opposite directions feels a little bit too much, helping us to keep those connections in the left and right brain, working with our coordination. It feels a little bit more accessible, and it could be something that you could keep you going on a long car journey or a long train journey. Maybe you could speed. Oh, if I speed it up, I can't do it. Hang on. So bear in mind that I've been getting yoga classes to do that for about 5 years. So I have definitely got a lot better at it than I used to be. Yeah, something for you to try. Good one as well, that to pass on to somebody else. Up for conversation maybe at a dinner party or something. Get people to do the one finger, one thumb trick. Right, where are we going next? Okay. So we practiced our goddess pose last week, and we're going to add on. We're going to add the lion's breath onto that this week with our standing flow. So we will just practice goddess again on its own, so everybody knows what we're talking about. So we have the feet quite wide. We maybe have the feet turned out a little bit, but what we want, goddess is about coming down into a squat. So if your knees are coming in and they're not tracking your feet, then turn your feet facing forward. So you want to try and get your knees to track your feet. So see where that feels comfortable. And then when we come down into that squat, we come down with the gracefulness of a ballet dancer, as we're sinking the bottom down. It's not coming out and we're not leaning forward. We're sinking down into that goddess pose. And you just go to wherever feels comfortable. It's not about how far we go. We still can be accessing the pose with just a small squat, and we still be pulling in at the glutes and using those thighs, drawing in the tummy, keeping the shoulders back and down. So there's a lot to think about. Maybe have a little bit of a shake out. Remember, from the chair, we can take the feet maybe a little bit wider. And what we really want to be thinking about is pulling in the glutes, so really squeezing the glutes and squeezing the core in as well. And we could all be thinking as well about pulling in the pelvic floor. So yeah, imagine as you're in your goddess pose, you need the toilet, and squeeze everything in when you're in that goddess pose. So let's just try that a few times, and then we'll add in the lion's breath as well. So we did the transition from star pose, didn't we? So star pose is just really stretching up wide, right with the fingertips as well, but trying to keep the shoulders down. So take the arms wider if your shoulders are coming right up. Think about drawing the shoulders down in that star pose, and then coming down into goddess. Remember, we're squeezing in the pelvic floor, the core muscles, maybe the glutes a little bit as well, squeezing in the glutes, and then stretching back up again. And then let's come back down. And stretching back up. And then let's just try that lion's breath here in star pose. So remember, we're breathing in through the nose into the belly, and then breathing out through the mouth with the tongue out, the mouth wide. So breathing in and then out. Try one more. And then let's just let go of that for a moment and just shake out the hands. And then we're going to see if we can do 3 lion's breaths in our goddess pose. So the hands could be anywhere you want them. You could have them in cactus. You could have them with the mudra, with the thumb and the index finger connecting. Or if it's becoming too much for the arms, you could just keep the arms down. So whatever feels right for you. So let's stretch up into that star pose again. Coming down into goddess with the arms wherever they feel comfortable today. Thinking about squeezing in that core and the pelvic floor, being strong in that goddess. And can you take 3 lion's breaths here? And coming back up. Shake out the legs. So that might felt quite strong. Often when you've got something else to distract you, so that breath to focus on, we sometimes it takes us away from perhaps, oh, that's hurting my legs. It helps to let go of that. So just gonna have a sip of water. Okay. So we're going to add that onto our little flow. So just a reminder of that flow. I need to remind myself. So we've got our little sun salutes. We've got our little back bend. So remember, the important thing, perhaps through all of it really, is this core support. So we're looking after this lower back. We're tucking that pelvis under. So we open up into that sun salute first, don't we? And then bring the hands back to center. Then we've got our side bend. I'm just doing a little run through as a reminder. the side bends, and then we come back through. And then we've got our standing balance, balancing here. Yeah, back to center. Then we open up into star and come down into goddess, and we'll take those 3 lion's breaths here. And what we'll do is we'll add on, we'll come back into star pose, and then to end it, we'll come into a forward fold here. So I'll do the first one standing, and then I'm going to demonstrate the second one from the chair, but we're going to try and do this 3 times. So 3, yeah, the routine 3 times. Really need to say anything else about it. So bringing your hands to heart center, thinking about being in that mountain position to begin with. The feet toes are spread wide, feet spread wide. We've got our weight evenly distributed over the feet. We can adjust it if we need to. We're tucking in the pelvis, standing tall through the spine, slight tuck of the chin, shoulders back and down. Just take a few breaths here. See if we can breathe right down into the diaphragm. And slowly out. And then let's begin. And our mantra actually for this morning is I am curious. So as we take that back bend, we lift up I am, as we open up curious. We come back down to heart center. Then lifting the hands overhead, and let's take side bend, one direction, side bend, the other direction, back up to center, hands back through heart center. Let's take that balance, so opposite arm to opposite leg as we lift and back down, and then the other way, lift and back down, back to heart center. Let's open up into star pose, coming down into goddess with the arms wherever they feel comfortable. Let's breathe in here and lion's breath out. 2 more. Stretching up into star pose, and then forward into a forward fold, keeping the knees soft as you fold forward. Let the back release, let the head be heavy. Just taking a few breaths here. And then let's slowly curl all the way back up. Sliding the feet back together, and we're back to the beginning. So I'm going to do it seated this time, just to demonstrate. So you come to standing, if you're staying standing, hands at heart center, settle in the breath, and then let's open up. I am curious. Hands back to heart center. Lifting up overhead. Let's take that side bend. One direction, back to center. And the opposite direction, back to center. Hands back through heart center. You're taking that balance, so opposite arm, opposite leg. Just lifting that leg on the chair. Trying to really still keep that core support. Lifting on one side and then the opposite side. Back to the center. Opening up into star pose. Stretching through the hands, through the arms. on the chair, maybe taking the legs a little bit wider, and then down into Goddess. Keeping that core strong, pulling in the pelvic floor, taking those 3 lion's breaths. Stretching back into that star pose, and then soft bend in the knees as we fold forward. Maybe we've got the hands on the thighs if we're on the chair. Maybe we feel okay taking the arms forwards. Just whatever feels right for us today. And then slowly, slowly rolling back up. And back to that starting position. And we'll do one more round here. Before we start to bring it back down to the ground. Don't know what's happened to the time today. Disappeared. So one more round. So opening up. I am curious. As you bring the hands back down to heart center. Let's breathe in together as we lift up. Breathe out. That side bend. Back up to center. Other side. Back to center. Bringing that energy, that hands back down to heart center. Let's take balance, so lifting one leg, opposite arm, and slowly back down. Core still holding that core in, lifting, and back down. Opening up into star pose, stretching through the fingers, coming down into Goddess. Take those 3 lion's breaths. Stretch up into that star pose. And then take that forward fold again. Knees soft, really letting go in the spine, letting go in the shoulders, the head. Taking a rest here. And then we're going to come back down to the ground if we're on the floor. So doing that in any way that feels right for you. Could just bring the knees down and just come into a comfortable seat, or you could just be sat on the chair again. So wherever feels comfortable for you. And let's just take a twist, a seated twist, just to loosen off in the spine. So just taking the body in one direction, opposite hand goes to opposite leg as we take that twist. And then coming back to center. And then the opposite way. And back to center. And then bringing yourself down into a position to transition into relax. Maybe when you get there, you take a little windscreen wiper of the legs, or you take any movement that feels nice for you. If you lay down to relax, it can be nice to have a pillow underneath the thighs, so the lower back feels a bit supported. Just taking any movement now. Maybe you want to shake your legs in the air. Just loosen off. Lower back not happy this morning. Anything that feels nice. And then just come into a position to relax in. I'll just come a bit further forwards. Let's just focus on our breath for a moment. So maybe bringing the hand to the belly, really thinking about taking the biggest breath that we've taken all day, really expanding into the diaphragm. And then slowly releasing that breath, the belly relax on the out breath. Let's take 2 more like that. Breathing into the hand, into the belly, stretching into the diaphragm. And release them. And 1 more. And then I will hand you over to Rosalind, who is going to finish with the meditation today. Put you on mute, Rosalind. So I don't think I can take you off mute, but hopefully you know how to do it. So just, yeah, making sure you're completely comfortable where you are.
Thank you, Laura, for the lovely yoga. Okay. So let's just find a position to spend this last few minutes of relaxation. Whether you want to be seated or whether you want to be lying down, whatever works for you now. See if there's anything that you need, any cushions, blankets, journals. And let's just settle back and soak up the benefits of the yoga. Whether you're seated or you're lying down, let's just invite the body to just drop. Let's just see if you can find your connection with the ground. So the seat beneath you or back of your chair or the ground beneath you. Just see where's your body in contact with the ground. And see if you can sense the ground supporting you beneath. And so just the invitation for the body to just ease into the ground. As much or as little is available right now. And let's just check in with how the body's doing now. So again, you can find your feet. Just bring your awareness through your ankles, through your legs, knees, thighs, buttocks, right through your torso, your shoulders, your arms, hands, through your neck and your head. So just allowing awareness to just include the whole of the body now. And just noticing whatever you're noticing here. And just letting it all come and go. And let's just invite this week's theme of trying things out to just be here. And that sense of the invitation of trying out something new. And just noticing how that's landing in the body for you. And maybe noticing if there are any obstacles arising to trying something new. Often other parts of ourselves that are very hesitant about trying something new, maybe for very good reasons in the past. Maybe some of those concerns are outdated. So the invitation is for us to just can we let go of any concerns about trying something new, making a tiny little change. Maybe letting go of the need for everything to be comfortable, or any concerns or fears about doing something a little different. Just noticing what is it that arises for you in that sense of what's it like to try something new, and what might hold you back. And it's always helpful to just acknowledge those things that might want to hold us back. And maybe just to let those parts of ourselves know, it's like, okay, I've got this. Thank you for your concerns. And I do want to try something new. And I am willing to maybe just feel a little bit uncomfortable for a moment, just while I try something. And see if you can just invite Laura's invitation to curiosity. Can I get curious about trying something new? Can I get curious about any obstacles? Can I get curious about a next step? Trying things out. And just noticing how my words are landing in your system, and maybe the responses, reactions. You're just noticing again, you're just bringing that mindful awareness to, okay, something's showing up that's concerned. You can say hi to that and invite those other parts of ourselves that do want to try something new, that do want to invite a change. And just taking another minute now just to notice how the breath's doing. And just inviting Inviting the whole system to receive the system updates that we've been receiving through the last 5 weeks of this Yoga for Happiness. All the little tools that we've been receiving, all the movement and awareness practice. And just letting the whole system receive. Sometimes one of our obstacles is we're not always good in our culture at receiving. Receiving the freshness, the newness. And then allowing that to inform our curiosity. And just a little reminder that sometimes, like when we get those sensations of, like what we label anxiety, sometimes the other side of that coin can be excitement. It's like, it might be quite interesting to try something new. So just giving yourself permission to make a change. And then let's take the last few moments to just bring this to a close before I hand back to Laura. So just taking a moment to find some movement again in the body. Maybe look around, open your eyes and just reorient to your space. I'm going to hand you back to Laura.
Taking a moment to come back round. Maybe taking some movement that might feel nourishing. Moving into the body, maybe rocking or stretching. Maybe some of those shoulder rolls again. You're laying down, just eventually coming to lay onto one side of the body. And eventually bringing yourself up to seated. And then let's take that energy rub together. Going into the hands. And then taking that energy into the eyes. Let's take a big breath in. And slow breath out. Bringing our hands down to heart center. And I think I'd like to remind us of those words that Rosalind just said, that the opposite end to that anxiety is excitement. Thinking about that when we perhaps tackle new things, what it might offer us. So yeah, our challenge this week is to go out and practice things differently, stepping out of that comfort zone. So thank you for joining me. Namaste.